I was active duty, broke, living paycheck to paycheck. Now I am investing in real estate, all thanks to a benefit I almost ignored. If you're in the military and haven't used your VA loan to build wealth, this video could change your life.
Did you know you can buy a home with zero money down, live in it for free, and build a six-figure real estate portfolio before you even leave the military? Most service members do not use their benefits right. In this video, we're going to show you how to turn one military benefit into generational wealth. Even if you're stationed overseas, have no experience, or move every 2 or 4 years. My name is Chris A. Williams, owner, investor, and entrepreneur, and I'm joined by
Iris Cipriano, active duty and a real estate agent with Assets Real Estate Team.
Iris. So great to have you on. I'm looking forward to this conversation that we're going to bring to people today. So earlier you were telling me that when you were in the military, you started out kind of broke, but now you're investing in real estate. So tell me about that journey. Like, what made you even get interested in real estate in the first place? Because a lot of military professionals, at least from what I know, they aren't really interested in real estate. More so they want to buy the newest Hellcat and Camaro.
Right. Yeah. So when I was an airman, living paycheck to paycheck, like, I would be like $0 using my credit card or whatever. But I met a first class who's actually retired and owned multiple properties. He retired with multiple properties, and that's when I wanted to be like him.
Interesting. Okay, so he bought multiple homes while he was in the military?
Yes. When he was just an airman. Like,
Wow.
as soon as he got out of boot camp, he invested in a property. I was like, wow, I didn't know you could do that.
Wait, as soon as he got out of boot camp, he invested in a property? How did he
Yes.
do that?
He used his VA loan, but his grandma told him to, start while he's young. So,
Okay, gotcha. So
Yeah.
he used his VA loan to purchase a property as soon as he got out of boot camp. So what are some of the big benefits of the VA loan? Because, like, I know there's other first-time home buyer loans that are out there. Like, what is really the biggest benefit of using a VA loan?
for me, no down payment. I love that.
Hold up. Let's walk that back a second, because you kind of ran right through it.
Right.
So no down payment. Like, you don't have to put any money down.
Nothing.
Because a lot of people think that you have to put 20% down. So if you're like at like 300,000, I mean, forgive me, I'm not the best at math, but it seems like tens of thousands of dollars that you have to pay if you had to put 20% down.
Right.
So you can buy a house like 300,000, not put any money down, no down payment.
Nothing. Absolutely zero money.
Wow, that's great. So what would you say are some of the other major benefits of the VA loan?
I would say lower interest rate. That means you're gonna pay less, than traditional. Yeah.
Okay, so you pay less monthly. So if a traditional loan, you're paying like $2,000 a month, then under a VA loan, you're paying like less than that.
Yeah.
So based off of my work with working with military service members, one thing that I've discovered too, like a huge benefit of the VA loan, is that you can purchase with lower credit stipulations. You can have a higher debt to income ratio, and honestly, you could get a much better deal as a VA loan. So I'll tell you a story, Iris. So one of my agents, they had a client who had like a 400 credit score. And usually if you have a score that low, you can't really get qualified for like anything. But they had a 400 something credit score. They had like $20 in the bank, and they had a super high debt to income ratio. So they had a lot of debts on their account. They were still able to purchase a home. Think this, 400 something credit score, only $20 in the bank. They still purchase a home. And that's only possible due to the VA loan. I can guarantee you if they try any type of other loan, it wouldn't work.
Right. I love that benefit when it comes to the military. There's so many benefits that people do not use.
Yeah.
And VA loan is definitely one of my favorite.
100%. What's another benefits of the VA
I
loan?
would say PMI, private mortgage insurance. There's no PMI, so that means lower monthly payment. So I'll save you money.
Okay, wow. Okay, so we're saving money both ways. So lower interest rate and lower PMI?
Yeah.
Or no PMI, I'm sorry.
No PMI. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So back in 2020, I actually purchased a house. It was like 2%.
2% interest rate.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
I wish I could go back to that.
Yeah, I mean, we all wish we could go back to that. I mean, man, what? I say that all the time. Like, I wish I was born in like the 1980s, Because back then you could purchase a home for like $10,000, you know?
Yeah.
I was going to say the 1950s, but, I shouldn't have been born in the 1950s. So now we know all the benefits of the VA loan, or we know some of them. There's a lot more, to be honest with you. For the people who are out there, the military person that's watching this right now, that's in their barracks, what can they do to use their VA loan? Like, how do they access that? Is that something you get like immediately? Do you have to fill out a form? Like, how does that work?
If you're in the military, definitely reach out to one of us, Chris and I, and we'll get you connected to a top lender.
So Iris, I know that you were saying like using a top local lender, and I think that's really good because a lot of military people that I run into, they just always want to use Navy Federal for some reason. And I don't know if Navy Federal has some spell over the military. I don't know what it is, but they always want to use Navy Federal or Veterans United, sometimes even a bigger bank like Wells Fargo or something like that. And honestly, based on my experience, what I would say is it's not really beneficial to them. Navy Federal is cool, don't get me wrong. Like, I think they're great when it comes to like car loan, banking with them. I bank with them and I have all the loan through them. But when it comes to your mortgage, I think it's super important that you do use a top local lender. And there's so many benefits from that. One is just their communication, and they're actually working hard for you on your behalf versus these bigger banks and institutions. They're more so 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And we really know that 9 to 5 isn't really 9 to 5. 9 to 5 really means 11 to 2, to be honest with you, and Monday through Thursday. So versus a local lender, they're going to be working for you, 24/7, almost around the clock, making sure to put you in the best position. So when that military buyer, when you're out looking at homes, putting in offers on the weekend, you need a pre-approval letter quick. You need to run numbers quick. All right, that's where your local lender comes in versus your other Navy Federal lender. They're not going to get back to you till Monday. And if you wait till Monday, you may have missed out on a great house.
That is true. I haven't used Navy Federal for a mortgage.
Good. Let's keep on using local lenders. I think just keep on. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Good. So we talked about the benefits of the VA loan. We talked about what it is. Now let's talk about what the people really want to know about is how can you really make money in the military? How can you make passive income without being a full-time real estate investor?
So I actually have a personal story, but I also have an example because people always reach out to me, hey, what about a duplex, right? So for example, for a duplex, which is a 2-unit, with VA loan, it has to be primary residence, so you have to live there. So for example, if your mortgage is like $1,000, let's just say, right? And you're living there and you have another one, you're renting out the other side, then you could rent it out for $1,000, so you can basically live there for free, Or you could make it a little bit higher, and now you're pocketing money. Yeah, so
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can live in one side and then rent out the other side, and these are 2 separate units, so it's not like you're gonna be renting to the kitchen
totally
with the other person.
separate unit. Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Okay. And then also too, which is how rent appreciates, you can charge more over time.
Yeah,
so
of course.
and then your mortgage always stays the same too. I think that's an important point for people to remember too, is that when you rent, it's just going to constantly go up because that's just what the market does. Versus when you have a mortgage, you're locked in. So your payment is going to be what your payment is. Your principal and interest, they're not going to increase. It's going to be what it is. Nice. Yeah. Okay. So what about your personal stories you're going to say?
So my personal stories would be back in 2020, purchased a house, right? But obviously I got stationed here in Virginia, closer to my family. So even though I bought a house in Washington State, I got hard copy orders. So I was able to purchase another house here in Virginia while still, having that under my name. So you can definitely buy multiple properties as UPCS when you get your hard copy orders. So for example, like I bought a house here in Virginia, but if I get stationed here again in Virginia, I can buy another property as soon as I have hard copy orders.
Wow. I've seen that actually. I've seen these videos on Instagram. It's like somebody, I don't think she's in the military, but her husband's in the military, and they get stationed every 2 years, and she buys a property like every place that she goes. So I think they've been stationed like 10 times. So she has like a bunch of properties just off of doing that method. And I think that's a great way to kind of get an introduction into real estate investing without diving into it full time.
Yeah.
So that's super smart.
So remember the house that I told you that I purchased in 2020 in Washington State? So back in 2020, my mortgage was like $2,000. So if I was to rent it out, right, it would have been like $3,000. And I would be pocketing $1,000 while I'm stationed somewhere else. So if I keep repeating that process, that's like cash flow in my pocket.
Yeah. At
Every
that
time.
house, you had to
Mhm.
spend zero down payment.
Zero down payment. Just like when I bought the house here in Virginia, zero down payment as well.
Yeah, and it was 3,000 though at the time. Imagine
Mhm.
what it's like now, because you got
Right.
that years ago. So
Right.
could be
Mhm.
3,500, could be 4,000. You can be
Mhm.
cash flowing like a ton of money. That's a
Exactly.
lot of passive income that's coming in your pocket just from
Mhm.
one house. And it all started with a zero down payment that any military person can do.
Yes.
Let's say my name is Robbie right now. My name is Robbie. I'm living in the barracks. I've got my BAH. You know, I think life is good living in the barracks. What would make me want to buy a house? Why should I buy a house?
Well, I would say investment in yourself.
Okay.
You know, I feel like not wasting money on rent
Okay.
as well. You know, it's like in the long run, you can, the payment that you pay for rent,
Yeah.
you can have that money if you sell the house.
Huh. Okay. Okay. Tell me a bit more about that. So you said I can get that money if I sell the house. What does that mean?
Right. So equity, right? So if
Ah.
you buy the house for this much and then the market is like going up,
Yeah.
then whatever you owe, you pay it. The rest of it would be for you. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And now we're speaking of equity. Kind of want to talk about HELOCs, a home equity line of credit, also too. I think that's something that a lot of people don't access, but a lot of people have it though. A lot of people have it at their disposal. They just may not know about it. So let's say you have 100K of equity in your home. You don't just have to just keep on paying your mortgage and just pay it off and within 30 years, okay, cool, you don't have any more payments. No, you can use that equity to your benefit. So as I said earlier, our military people, they love their Camaros and Chargers. You can take that equity and buy a Camaro.
Yeah.
Or
for sure.
you can take that equity, you can buy another house. Just reinvest into yourself, just like you said.
Right.
So that's just one of the big benefits of being a homeowner also too. It's just so many more benefits. So,
You know, just like you mentioned, the rent, it could go up, it could match the BAH,
yeah,
which is bad because they know that military, hey, this is what we get. So they try to match the rent. But with mortgage, you know, if you get a lower interest rate, no down payment, and then you want to purchase like, you know, lower than what you need to, you could definitely save money that way. And it will stay like that for years, you know.
okay,
With-
interesting.
With rent, it could go up
Yeah.
every year.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean that's a good point that you bring up too. Like for military personnel, like it's very easy to see kind of what you guys make. It's easy to pocket watch because you can just
Exactly.
look it up and see. Okay, E5 they make this much, E2 make this much. So usually when our military people comes to getting pre-approved, it's super easy because the lender, like a lot of times when they're trying to qualify other people, you know, their salary is different based on their company. But military is like, you know exactly how much they're making. So like the pre-approvals, the lender can get military people, they can get them in like 15 minutes. Like it can be super, super quick. So that's it makes the process a lot easier on that end too. So we talked about how you purchased your home in 2020 for a 2% interest rate. And oh my God, man. Right now we're in 2025 and our rates are like 7%.
I know. Yeah.
So it's tough right now because the higher your rate is, of course, you know, the higher your monthly payment is. So I know a lot of people are kind of scared to purchase homes. So I was hearing that military members, they have access to, I believe it's called like an assumable loan or something like that. And isn't that like where they can assume the previous homeowner's interest rate? So if somebody purchased in like you in 2020, if they're going to sell it, they can get that 2% interest rate instead of getting that 7% interest rate?
Yep, that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
that's another benefit when it comes to VA loan.
Tell me
You
more
can
about that.
assume somebody. Yeah, so for example, for me, if I'm tired of my house now, my property, I just don't want anything to do with it, right? So my interest rate right now is 4%, right? So if I'm
For your other
tired,
properties at 4%.
right?
Okay.
So I could like, you know, try to sell it and then to another military
Yeah.
member
Yeah.
was like, hey, assumable loan, you can assume my interest rate. You don't have to worry about higher interest rate because, you know, 2025.
Wow. And this is only for military people that they can get this.
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
For sure.
That's amazing. And I want to join the military now at this
You
point.
should.
You know, salute. Like, man. Okay, so you have zero down payment. You get to assume a loan. Wow. Yeah, there's so many benefits to that. So Iris, this has been a great conversation. I definitely appreciate your insights as a service member and also a real estate professional. Like, you're a rare breed, and I think you can bring a lot of value to the military community, you know, with your expertise. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Tell the people where they can follow you at, you know, your social media.
You could definitely follow me at Foreign Bae. That's going to be F0REIGNBAE on Instagram. And I post a lot of, you know, content there.
Of
Real
course.
estate, military, whatever you can think of. Yeah.
Of course. And of course, if you guys are interested in anything real estate or real estate investing, make sure you follow us at Assets Real Estate Team on all social media platforms. And if you're interested in anything else real estate, watch the next video.